Crisis Mat returns, but this time in watercolor. After mostly erasing the sketch I'd made beforehand, I jumped right into it. The first thing I decided to do was lay down a base layer of purple, since that is Crisis Mat's default color after all. However, I soon discovered that I'm not very good at mixing purple with watercolor. I don't know what it is, but for some reason it always ends up too blue or too red or too something, and I'm never satisfied. In the end, I ended up going for a more colorful approach, as you can see, just to hide the fact that I failed utterly at making a purple. I ended up going into the wings, which you can see might be kind of strange and drippy in shape. I had a very particular idea in mind when I started this. I wanted it to have the ominous, foreboding vibes of like a dark red candle melting in a spooky vampire's bedroom. I don't know. But I don't know if I achieved that in the end. I guess I would describe the final look more like a pack of Crayola crayons left in a hot van in Arizona overnight. The drippy effect I had a plan for, as I wanted to tilt the paper and let the water drip down on its own. Unfortunately, that didn't work out too well for me, and I had to assist it by painting the drips myself. I don't know if this is just a me thing, but whenever I have to paint drips, I'm always terrible at making sure that they all go in the right direction, and one of them ends up looking wonky, and that ruins the entire effect. Either way, I still continued, and we've switched to this side view, where you can see absolutely nothing because this is a terrible angle. You might have noticed that the overhead view is a bit grainy, and that's because I had to zoom in to crop out some stuff I didn't mean to leave in the shot. I confess that at several points while painting this, my impatience got the best of me, and I mixed colors that shouldn't have been mixed, so there's a bit of brown in there, but for the most part, I think it turned out fairly colorful. I don't know exactly the kind of situation Crisis Mat would be in that he would look like this, and I ended up trying to give it a bit of context later on, but I'm not exactly pleased with what I wound up with. I do think I made some rushed decisions, like I always do, that may have made it look worse in the end. And you can see right now that I just put some green next to some red, which was a terrible decision, which I'm known for making. At this point I had some concerns. The arm that's reaching out, the green one, didn't look exactly as I had envisioned, and I wasn't sure how to fix it because I couldn't exactly remove the green very easily from where I had already put it down. I think in the end, later on, once I'd added the flaps below, that it didn't look that strange, but I still don't think that it captured exactly the slightly tortured and desperate to escape vibe I was going for. This is the awkwardly long pause in the voiceover. I think the slightly unnerving music that I have chosen is fitting for at least what I was aiming for, if not what I actually accomplished. At this point, I'm finally painting in those flaps that I really think brought his form together a bit. And soon after, I would get to begin my favorite part, which was painting the drips that would go beneath him. At last, we reach the drips that go beneath him. This was definitely my favorite part because this is the portion where I anticipated being able to use a technique that I learned in like 3rd grade, where you can shake the paper or blow on it to move the droplets across. In the end, I wasn't able to do that because I didn't have enough water mixed in with the paint, so it wasn't chippy enough, but it was still fun to at least try to emulate that effect. I think it's something that I'll definitely return to later because I remember it being so much fun creating such a cool look. At this point, I still wasn't sure how I was going to incorporate the drips into something else because I realized that I didn't want Crisis Bat to be just floating in space. In the end, I would settle for making it look like a blanket that he'd been enshrouded in. This was also to cover up the fact that I'd done something really weird with the shape of his back earlier on, and I kind of wanted to disguise that. Looking back at it now, I kind of don't see that much wrong with the shape of his back, and I somewhat wish I had left it. We're not quite yet at the point of no return, as there are lots of drips beneath him to go, but there was a point here where I am happier with it than it ended up looking in the end. We have finally reached the point in which I think it looks the best. If only I could travel back in time and tell my past self to just stop, to just leave it alone, it doesn't need any more. But alas, time travel is not yet possible, so I guess I'll just have to be satisfied with the result. And with that, there was no more left to do, just like there's nothing left for this video. So, thank you for watching, and farewell.